Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy! Hey folks, this is episode number 185, and this week we have Greg Troyan from Lipstick Generation on to talk about a video that him and his band shot. But before we do that, we're going to do our normal hijinks, and we have a new name for an old segment here, courtesy of our friend Brian Harris. Dennis's Vinyl Finds is now called Album Acquisitions.
Wow, that's kind of sounds important, doesn't
Wow,
it?
I assume this is kind of like the text messages that go back and forth between us. Brian sent that to us in a group message, and I'm the only one that saw it.
No, I saw it. I'm just letting
but you forgot,
you say it.
You fucking
forgot.
I saw it.
I knew you were going to do it.
Dollar y'all says he forgot.
I don't want to steal your thunder.
I'm gonna be right up, straight up. I did not see it.
Well, I figured, acquisitions. Now I'm going to be on the New York Stock Exchange. I guess that's Dennis's Records. DR.
I think you meant Dennis's Inquisition. We're gonna do that. We'll do that.
All right. Yeah,
Inquisition. Yeah. No.
I did get some records this week. I just have to go because I want to. Anyway,
what you got?
You're addicted.
So I am addicted.
Did you say he's a dick?
A dick. Yeah.
That's what I said.
Anyway,
that too.
The motels.
I picked that up a few times, man, and put it back.
You know what?
What's the name of that album?
All for one, but it was $3. It's like, fuck it, I'm gonna get it. It's got only
the sticker like right in the middle of the art.
I don't know, but I got to talk to that guy, and then he puts a piece of fucking tape over top.
Why does he do that?
Plastic. So basically, I'm not ripping this off because I don't want to tear the album. He's a dick. I'm gonna talk to him about. He's put him on the back.
You need to tell him.
And these two have been down here for a while, and I just went ahead and picked them up because I do like Pete Townsend. And This is the All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes. It's got slits.
Sounds like a great title.
Anyway, but it was only at $4, so I grabbed it. What the hell? Now this one here, another Pete
for $3 back.
Another Pete Townsend, but this has Rough Boys and Let My Love Open the Door. That's a pretty decent album. So it's Empty Glasses or Empty Glass. Rounding out my John Cougar Mellencamp collection, I got this one here, which is Ain't Even Done with the Nights on there, but it's Nothing Else Matters and What If It Did. So, and I got this one for $5, and except every one of these are in good shape.
That's the second record, I think, right?
Yes, I think so. I don't quote me on that because I'm
pretty sure it is.
All right, so and then of course because of the week's news, I saw this last time I was down there, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go pick it up because it's got. What is it? Give Me Some Water on here. So anyway,
well, what's the name of that album?
Yeah, it's Eddie Money's Life for the Taking.
Very ironic that you bought that. It is
very ironic. No, I bought it afterwards. I
know that, but I mean, it's very ironic that that's the record you found after he passed away.
Well, they had two, and I already had the first one, so I didn't buy that one. I bought this one here for one song, Pat Travers' Crash and Burn, for a little snorting whiskey and drinking cocaine. I didn't realize that on this album, this has Tommy Aldridge playing drums on it, which, that's cool.
Tommy is the Joel Hoekstra of drummers.
Exactly. So then I went up to Trader Baker's, my other place that I go to, and this one woman, that I buy all these ones from, she puts them in these really heavy plastic, even has the kind of sticky things. I think that's worth like $1 a piece. I figure, and some of the records I don't really want to keep, I put them on my other good records that I would want to keep good. But anyway, I got for $6 Eagles on the Border, which I thought that was a pretty good deal. It's got Already Gone, On the Border, James Dean. So it's like the third album, I believe. So then here I bought this as kind of odd. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club.
I got that for Christmas for my sister.
Yeah. I love that album so much.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know what? It's got a great bunch of Beatles tunes on it, but with different people. $6, and it's in really good shape.
I think
So-
I've got the DVD sitting behind me somewhere in this bookshelf.
That's cool. Because I even asked my son, I go, hey, Mix, I said, have you ever seen this movie? He goes, yeah, I like it. And he goes, well, I got the album for it now. But anyway, you got Steve Martin singing Maxwell Silver Hammer.
Note to self, look that up.
Yeah.
George
exactly.
Burns doing being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. That's
No,
so
he's doing Fixing a Hole.
Oh, fixing a hole, right. No,
Fixing a
being for
Hole.
the benefit of the Mr. Kite. He's Mr. Kite. I forgot he's the character Mr. Kite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some crazy shit on here. I want to sit and listen to it. I've actually never seen it or never listened to it.
Oh, really?
I've
gonna
watched
have
the
to
movie
sit down and-
once, about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
It's pretty
so
cool.
I need to-
You know what?
I
It's
need to
a
sit
fun
down
visual
and-
experience. I'd say it's fun. It's
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a good story, but it's got really great visuals and really great music. So it's just a really long music video that's kind of fun.
Plus, you
That's
got a
pretty
lot
cool.
of these people, and a lot of those people I love. I love the Bee Gees. I love, Peter Frampton's. So, speaking of the Bee Gees, man, I tell you what, this motherfucker looks like it just came off the fucking print shop. I mean, Saturday Night Fever. I mean, it is absolutely. I don't think anybody has played it, looked at it, had it out of plastic. I mean, it's for $8. I'm like going, yeah, sign me up. So, anyway. That was my big find for the weekend. I actually had that on 8-track back in the day. But so anyway, that was my finds for the week, or my acquisitions for the week. There you go.
Dennis's album acquisitions.
Acquisitions.
We need to.
His album accusations.
Accusations.
Do you have
But
any
anyway,
finds this week, Bill?
No.
None.
I didn't even go look. Oh, whoa, wait. I did actually almost make a purchase.
Right.
So on Discogs this week, I got a message that someone had the Allison Steele interview album.
Really?
And I've never seen it before, and the guy wanted $20 for it, so I was going to buy it. And I didn't read all the fine print. The guy messaged me back, and he sent me the bill, or sent me what the shipping was going to be. And he said, "Hey, I want to make sure that you know that it's in very good condition, but there is no cover.
Really?
And the back side, the side B, has some scuff marks on it." And I'm like,
No.
they're done.
No.
Nope. So I went, no, god darn it. But that's the closest I've ever
That's pretty
been
good.
to having that damn thing.
Right.
But it said The Who, and it came up, and I got an email about it, and it said it was The Who. So if you put stuff on your want list on
On Discogs.
on discographic
Right.
or whatever you use,
Discography. Yeah.
then they will search in Discogs and find it for you, and
That's cool.
and they will post it. Problem with it is sometimes, like, if you don't tell them just like the United States, like, you get all the stuff from Europe, which
Right.
is cool, except for it costs like 3 times as much as it does here. Because
So I ended up,
crazy.
that program actually saves me from, because I almost rebought another album this week that I had, but I looked it up in my collection. It's like, oh, I already got that one, because I get excited when I see an album. It's like, oh, it's like, but shit,
Yep.
I forgot I bought that a long time ago. So yeah, it's good to have that. Oh, and I am getting Rat Out of the Cellar, a really, really super good copy of it. Amy's brother has it, and he doesn't want it anymore. And she said he only listened to it like once or twice. So I'm
Cool.
I said, well, how much owe you? She said, nothing. She said, I'll get it for
how do
you.
you
Nice.
only listen to that album once or twice?
He
It's a
must,
pretty good record.
he must not like Rat. Oh, I wore mine out. I've got the cover over there. I just don't have the record anymore. I think it actually got broke. It got stepped on in a drunken binge one night or something, probably, at the apartment. Remember the apartment?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The
I
apartment.
have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea.
No incriminating
on.
discussions on this show.
Moving on.
So-
Moving on.
Well, before we
bringing
get into the downer part of this show that's coming up,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
want to.
Greg, poor Greg. You can't say that to our guest. He's right there, dude.
Well, welcome to the show. No, but seriously,
I mean, this is the same man who greeted me with a middle finger at Rockin' Pod, so I know what to expect.
Was it
would
this
expect
one?
Nothing less.
or was it this one?
It was that one. You know what's so funny is like when you were on my podcast, because I've had all 3 of you on once, but Alan's been on a couple of other episodes, and Alan's just always like so polite and dignified and well thought out and like articulate. And I was thinking, like, man, he's so polite. I was thinking that before Rockin' Pod. And then he just like runs up to me, flips me the bird, and walks away.
I gotta say, the person that you just described, Greg, I have no idea who that is.
Not on this video.
I have no idea who that guy is.
It's not on this podcast.
He's just so much more polite when he's talking about Freddie Mercury, I guess.
That's pretty funny.
Well, he does do a great job of adapting to the right audience, so that he makes us all look really good.
See, actually, Alan, he's got all kinds of personalities, because the first year episodes, he was Mr. Tree. He just stood there and went. Kelly goes, if you look at those videos, he goes, is he froze? I'm like, no, it's what he does. He doesn't talk. He doesn't move. He doesn't even blink. He just sits there and goes.
So anyway,
where are we going, man?
So where are we going with this?
So I've got a wild hair up my ass, and I've decided that the week before I go on the Kiss cruise, I'm going to watch all of the Gene Simmons 1980s movies. So we've got Runaway, Never Too Young to Die, Wanted Dead or Alive, Red Surf, and the name of the fifth one is escaping me right now.
Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat.
Does that count?
That's the one.
You can skip a couple of those.
Nope, I'm going to watch. I am going to watch every one of them. Laura's going to be gone on her cruise. There's not going to be anybody at the house to interrupt me. So I'm just going to one night each week. I'm going to watch one of those Gene Simmons movies, and I have seen Runaway, Trick or Treat, and Wanted Dead or Alive before. I have not seen Red Surf or Never Too Young to Die. So
Never Too Young to Die is interesting.
I've seen snippets of it, and I've seen some of his drag scenes. So
I actually have
that night.
Do you need it? Do you need a copy of it? I've got a copy of it. If you need to borrow it,
I've got Never Too Young to Die, Runaway, and Wanted Dead or Alive, and Trick or Treat. The only one I don't have yet is Red Surf.
I don't even know what Red Surf is.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
it's got George Clooney in it.
Huh?
What is it?
It's got George Clooney in it. It came out in 1989.
Really?
Yep.
I never even. What does he
Never
play?
heard of that.
Get on the Google. I ain't even seen it. I don't know what he plays.
You know what's funny was, in bringing this up, if you look on IMDb and you pull up Paul Stanley, it shows a movie that he was in called something about the Eagle, something, whatever. It's some weird fucking movie. Yeah. And I was forever trying to find this movie. I was like, it must have been because it was like 1970 or something. I'm like, that must have been like when he was young and he's doing. I finally got this movie off of Netflix, finally, and I had to send it to the house. I was like, can't wait to watch it. Number one, worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. And number two, it wasn't Paul Stanley. It was just Paul Stanley. Some other dude. He's like an Indian kid. I was like, fuck.
Oh, it wasn't Paul. It wasn't the Paul Stanley.
No, it wasn't the Paul Stanley.
It's the other Paul Stanley.
Paul Stanley.
Yeah, but it's credited. He is credited actually. And it used to be, and I was probably corrected that now. This has been.
Well, it's funny that you talk about IMDb because I couldn't remember the name of Red Surf, so I was Googling Gene Simmons movies, and it pulled up in IMDb, and it has him credited in every music video as an actor.
Really?
So
that movie is
any movie or TV show, and there are several TV shows he starred in the 80s, or he had a cameo in, or whatever. So I'll probably go back and hunt those down because the episode of Smuggler's Blues, or not Smuggler's Blues, Miami Vice. I want to see that one because I'm sure his acting was so much better than that in Never Too Young to Die.
Well, Red Surf is scoring a massive 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb. So why don't you watch that and you can report back?
Well, when I was younger, I used to love to watch them. Just the cheesier and more terrible those movies were, the more I enjoyed them.
Yep. Yeah, it's like Strange Brew. Yeah. Best movie ever. So,
I mean, I'm going to get back into that at least for 5 days.
Awesome, man. Cool. Yeah.
So, of course, now we have some sad news that everybody already knows. that we lost Eddie Money this past Friday, and Rick Ocasek passed, I believe, on Monday. Is today Tuesday? Yeah, he passed away.
yesterday.
He passed away on Monday.
Right.
But the funny, well, not funny. The strange thing about it is, for the last week or so, I've been on a Benjamin Orr kick.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah,
that's strange.
yeah, but I'm that guy that likes the Benjamin Orr Carr's material better than the Rick Ocasek material, but it's all good material.
Right.
Yeah, just not in live. They were, man, it was a struggle. I went to see them.
I heard they were pretty bad live. I've looked
It
up
was-
I've looked up a couple of their videos on YouTube. Some of them are all right. Some of them, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But great music, and he wrote all kinds of crap, man. He wrote all. It's amazing.
But it is
Never
my
stuck with it.
understanding that Rick had some kind of surgery that he was home recovering from, and he had
Yeah, I
went,
wonder what it
had
was.
went to bed, and I don't know if it's his. I don't know if him and his wife had actually divorced yet. I know they had separated.
They were estranged. That's what that's what the thing said.
My understanding was that she was helping take care of him, and somebody went into the bedroom to check on him because he slept in longer than usual, and he'd passed away in his sleep. So
He's 75. I mean,
yeah.
he
He was
you know,
only 70. The reports of 75 were wrong. He was born in 1949, not 43.
Okay.
So,
Because it was funny. I only saw one that said he was 70. The rest
Yeah,
of
that's
them,
what I-
every one of them was 75. So anyway,
according to the Library of Congress, he was born in 49. So
Well, that's probably true.
yeah.
Damn, that is some intense fact checking. Like you're not messing around.
It wasn't me that
Yeah,
did the fact checking.
And to be honest with you, that never happens on this show.
yeah, no,
Got it.
we are the fake
I thought
news.
I was here for hard hitting journalism.
No,
You
fake
are-
news.
If
We
you are
fake-
here for hard-hitting journalism, you have come to the
Hashtag
wrong
fake
venue, my
news.
friend.
Hashtag fart jokes.
Yeah, it's not. It's
Dick
not.
joke.
That's not our thing, man. We are not
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
We just
Nope.
kind of come off the cuff, and if we're right, we're right. If not, okay.
Yeah, whatever. But
Well,
I did post a really good tribute that Brian Adams did for Eddie Money. That was
I want to talk.
"Baby Hold On to Me." That was done acoustic in a show, and it was really, really, really good. So
Very
if you get a
much
chance, I
Dennis
think it's on my
Well,
webpage.
no, there was a bunch
Just
of these.
running over
and I-
everybody.
No, I had this set. I was going to be. I told you earlier that I was wanting to go over this. I was going to go over all the tributes, and Brian Adams did. Of all the tributes that I saw online, Brian Adams was the best one that I seen, hands down. I mean, he did it it was just kind of acoustic. He did "Baby Hold On to Me." It was really cool. Loverboy did oh, you haven't seen it yet?
Kid.
But the Loverboy did one. The music was decent. They didn't play the lead. And also, Mike Reno's got his phone out like this, singing the words to "Two Tickets to Paradise." So he didn't know the words. So he was real on it. Kid Rock actually did pretty good. He did "Shakin'," and he actually did really good. He tore it up. I did like that one. I tell you what, I love REO Speedwagon. I mean, I love those guys to death. I go see them, but that "Two Tickets to Paradise" was just the worst one I seen of the bunch. Kevin Cronin was just like, it was terrible. It's like, just stop. Musically,
you mean
wise, it was
the old lady from Golden Girls?
the girls.
Hey, Kevin, you
I mean,
want to come on our show?
I know
No, and I'm telling you, when I saw them this summer, it was not.
it's getting bad.
It
It's
is.
getting- last time I seen it, it was not good.
Yeah,
and
it's not
I
good.
love. I've probably seen REO 20 times. I love those guys. They used to come to town every summer. And I played basketball with the guys. I mean, I'm friends with Neil Dowdy's. Actually, Jeff Dowdy, a friend of mine, is Neil Dowdy's cousin. Neil Dowdy's mom and dad used to live in Newburgh. I sit next to his mom and dad at a concert because they put us to the side. We got in for free and all that stuff. So I know these guys, and they do great stuff. But it's just getting like, man, it's good. I did see one that I couldn't find here just a second ago, but I don't know what kind of concert it was. But it was somebody, but it was Rick Springfield and who's the guy from Jefferson Starship?
Mickey Thomas.
Thomas. They did "Two Tickets to Paradise." And it was not good either.
Really?
It was
I'm
about
surprised by that.
It was by REO. It was not good. I mean, it was thrown together, and it's just kind of off the cuff. And sometimes people can't play off the cuff. It was kind of bad.
So, Greg, what's your favorite Eddie Money song?
Ah, man. I should have thought the answer to this question beforehand because I've been listening to Eddie Money all week. It depends on my mood. I mean, right now I'm feeling shaken, but I feel that that's not like my true answer, but that's just what is in my heart at this moment. So I'll say shaken for now, but you know what? I think I'm in love. There we go. That's my favorite.
That's a good song. Shaken is
I had to
probably
follow my heart.
yeah. Shaken is probably my favorite. I used to be in a band, and we did that when I played drums on that one. That's a fun song to play on the drums. So I've always kind of had a special spot in my heart for it.
Bill, what about you? What's your favorite?
I like We Should Be Sleeping. This is a cool song.
That is not bad. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's not bad.
It's just kind of it's almost like it's a ballady kind of thing, but I like it. Actually, I like.
He goes with a non-radio hit.
I go with a non-radio hit. I like that song though. I saw Ace Frehley do "I Want to Go Back."
Right.
He did that whenever I saw him in Indianapolis. It was really
Isn't
good.
that on his Origins album?
Yeah,
Origins.
Origins.
Which I Want to Go Back is actually Eddie Money covered that song, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a cover of a cover.
Yeah. I like that "Hold On to Me" though. I that's probably one of my favorites because it's kind of I like that drum beat's kind of a real fucked up kind of offbeat. Here's another real quick interesting Eddie Money story though. When I lived on Powell Avenue, remember that Bill over there?
Yep,
on there?
I do.
The girl that lived across from me 3 doors down dated the bass player whenever he came into town because Eddie used to come down to the boat and play at the boat all the time.
That's not dating the bass player.
Well, he basically
shag at the bass player when he comes down.
I haven't seen her in years, so I'm not going to mention any names. But anyway, she came down one night and she was coming down. We were drinking beer in the yard and stuff, and she came down.
She was shaking.
Anyway, he was with him, and I was like, she was like. I go, hey, nice to meet you. And he goes, and she was like, oh, she goes, this is so-and-so. And he goes, this is Eddie. He's Eddie Money's bass player. But I did look on a video of 2018, and it's the same guy. I guess he's been playing with him for years. But he told me then, he said back then, he goes, dude, Eddie smokes about 4 packs a day. He says, and this is probably, so I've lived in Newburgh for 12 years. So this has probably been 18 years ago when I met this guy, and he goes, Eddie smokes 4 packs a day. He says, I don't know how many years I'm going to be doing this because he says he could be dead tomorrow. But he got another 20 years out, or probably 15 years out of him. So I don't know. But anyway, he said it to me. He said, dude, it smokes like a chimney. But anyway, like I said, now what's going to be, they all come in threes, and that thing also Alan posted on her page is an interesting read if nobody's read that yet. It's kind of interesting in this fact of where they're talking about, we're in this time now where we're going to see a lot of our heroes and the legends are going to be gone, in a small amount of time, and yeah. I had read that article, Alan, before you posted it. And I wish I would have posted it. I'm glad you posted it up there because I didn't think about sharing it. But
he wants the glory. That's what it is.
No. I said you posted it first, and I'm glad you did because it is a good read. If anybody hadn't read that yet, and it just kind of brings things into perspective. I mean, we had a short amount of time in the '70s where these people all became megastars. Well, all those guys are about the same age, and it's getting to that time.
Now, I saw this is kind of a morbid thing, but I saw a meme the other day that every time a rock star dies, Keith
Richards,
gets his life
another
extended
life
or something.
I think it's true.
That dude is pickled. I don't know how he's.
Him and Ozzy, they're calling. Ozzy calls him every morning. How you feeling? I think good. I'm feeling okay.
Sharon.
He's got a great.
Ozzy is preserved by ice cream and coffee.
Yeah, right.
That's what he is.
Yeah, there are a couple of these guys who are like still kicking. Who I'm just like, so impressed that they are the survivors of the bunch. We're like dudes I wouldn't think like, oh man, that's the guy who's going to live till 80. Like the guys who are doing it are blowing my mind.
Ozzy.
And like there's a certain rock star whose name I don't want to say because I don't want to jinx it. But the fact that like this guy has this huge legacy and has outlived so many people that he has influenced still blows my mind. I'm not going to say his name because if he dies after this, I'm going to hate myself for the rest of my life.
Don't say
I'm not
that.
gonna
Don't say that.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
Let us pretend
But
like you
no,
said.
I mean I've been musing about this like myself. Where like I think it was when Dio died. I thought to myself, I'm gonna sooner than later I'm gonna see like all my musical heroes die because I mean I'm into old school stuff. I'm not I'm not into Post Malone like the kids my age. So I'm looking at all these like guys who I grew up listening to. I'm like, man, like we've got like maybe 10 more years before they're all gone, and that's just sad to think about.
Yeah. You just mentioned it. I'm glad you did real quick. I was looking at that article that Ozzy was saying that he, has had struggles in the last year from the surgeries he's had and everything. And they were talking about this Post Malone thing. And he said he's recorded a new album and he said it's the best thing he's ever done and it's coming out, blah, blah, blah. So they had that Post Malone song as a clip, where you could listen to it. So I'm like, oh shit. All right. I'm going to listen to this crap and see what it sounds like. I did not throw up in my mouth. I was surprised. Now I like
he threw up in someone else's mouth.
No, I did like the Aussie parts a lot, but whenever the dudes sing Post Malone, whatever, I mean, you can tell it's all it's auto tuned and stuff like that. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like super terrible. And then Ozzy came back, and so I got happy again. So I actually got through the whole song without puking. So I was kind of glad about that. But anyway, it's not a bad song.
So I had something interesting that Greg, we're going to get to you at some point, right? He says but I want your take on this. I heard this the other day.
Look, I'm just here to hang and chat with you guys. Like I'm relaxed and chill and
cool.
just looking for good moments to interject where I'm like, I have something to contribute.
You have to butt in on this show.
Yeah, you got to get in.
Well, I want to be a polite guest. I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to poop on the carpet like Julian Gill does when he comes over to my podcast. I want to be polite to you, gentlemen.
The next time I'm on your podcast, I'm going to drag my butt across your carpet.
Oh, that's not right.
Is that where that comes from? When Andrew was always talking about pooping in his room and rubbing the butt on his carpet and stuff. Is that what he's talking about?
Probably.
Yeah.
I never got that. I'm just now putting two and two together. So now I understand the joke. Okay, go ahead, Bill.
So a friend of mine and her husband went to see Bruno Mars in Vegas last week. And when they went in, they were given a bag to put that, like when they went through security, they were given a bag to put their cell phones and stuff in to go through security. When they got their bag back on the other side, it was like a nylon bag that you could kind of see through, whatever. When they got you could see through it. When you got their bag back, it was locked with like a lock from like the, like a garment lock, a garment tag, like where you have to have the safety thing, take it off. And, everybody in the venue had their phones locked in a bag.
Yeah, that's, a lot of comedians are doing that now, so that people don't film their show, and then when it comes time to do their big Netflix special or whatever, it's already on the internet.
Well, he said during the show, so after the first two songs, he came out and did the first two songs, then he said, I know everybody's pissed at me because I locked up your phones, but just enjoy the show. You paid a lot of money to come here to see us perform. Just enjoy the show. If you want to watch a video of it, trust me, he said, there's shit on YouTube and everywhere else. You can watch it whenever you want, but enjoy the moment. Be in the moment and enjoy the moment. So I asked her, I said, so what happens if like you're a family and you got an emergency? She said, you can leave. And when you leave, there's people that will unlock your phone. But if you want to go back in, then you got to get your phone locked back up. And that's what they do. And when everybody leaves at the end of the night, they have people that's standing there and they unlock the little bags and they take the bags and keep them using for the next show and give you your phone out of it. I just thought it was pretty interesting.
I think you're going to start seeing that at more and more shows.
What if your phone if you didn't know that you were going to go through this and your phone, you had it on, say, you had it off so it wouldn't, you couldn't hear it beep.
Doesn't matter. They block your phone up.
But if you're, like I say, say you went to this concert, but you've got a family member that's really sick, and you wanted to go see this, but you're going to kind of,
they're going to make you put it in the bag regardless.
You're going to have to go outside and get it undone. Not outside the venue, but out of the concert.
I wonder though
area
if they would say like, okay, I know you're going to do this now. Can you open it up so I can turn my ringer on so I can at least hear my phone? That's what I'm saying. Will they?
Oh, I don't know.
That?
I don't have any idea. She just said that they got their phones back and they were locked in a bag.
Greg,
I was just like, I was shocked. I mean,
yeah,
I never heard that before. What about you? I mean, what do you guys think about that? Greg, what do you think?
I think it's dumb personally. So I like people just enjoying the moment, enjoying the show, and appreciate it more when people aren't just on their phones all the time. And I know that's ironic as I record this on my cell phone, but I think it's trying to fight the future, and you can't fight the future. And so you have to find a way to make the future work for you instead of trying to fight it. Like, you locking up people's phones will just make people find a way to sneak stuff. And so it's a losing battle. And so many other people, so many other concerts just allow them in. It's just going to annoy people. And so I think it's a losing battle. Even though I like some of Bruno Mars's music and I think he's a cool musician, I think that's just, it's dumb. It's like when Prince was trying to fight the internet. Like, what are you doing, man? You're a great artist, but you're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah. Now, unless it's great unless you're Rob Halford, then you use it for like hunting practice.
Well, no better. Like, be farther away from the band if you're going to do that. Like, if you're up front at a Judas Priest show, you shouldn't be on your phone. You should be enjoying it. But man, if you're in the nosebleeds, I don't blame you for whipping out your phone. Have at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went
all the pictures you want.
When we went to see Pat Benatar, there wasn't anything like that, no bags or anything like that. But they came out right before and said, hey, you know what, tonight, just enjoy the show. We would appreciate if you didn't have your phones out. And there was only one person at the very end of the fucking show that pulled their phone out and started filming. But most, I'd say, the first 90% of the show, or the 90% of the show, nobody had their phones out. And you know what? It was actually fucking nice. And I've got to the point now to where I used to be like that when I first, when you get your phone at first, you're like, oh yeah, I want to tape this. And I record it. And I'm like, and then after I recorded a bunch of shit, I was like going, you know what? I've never went back and watched these motherfuckers ever since I recorded them. And then when you look at them back, they sound like shit most of the time. They're just out of focus. They're, the light hits it wrong. It's like, you know what? And I got to the point where I stopped doing that. I do some live streaming just for our page every once in a while on a Facebook page. And I'll kind of just set it like this, where I know where it's in, I look at it and I know where it's in focus, but I watch the screen and
do you watch them back? Because you, like, last one you did was like the back of somebody's head.
That's what I'm saying. I don't care. I'm just putting it out there as a live feed. I mean, honestly, I don't really care because I'm watching the show. I'm having a good time. But you know what? And it's one of those things where I have to try to not watch the video screens. I try to watch the band because you find yourself, we are a TV generation. I mean, you see a TV screen, you just go, oh. And that's what, used to be when you went to see a band, they had a banner behind them or maybe some whatever, but you watched the band. And now with these big screens, multiple screens around, you just like, you find yourself watching these things. And I have to really try to focus on, especially when we saw an Iron Maiden up there, and we had that huge screen right in front of us. I had to really keep my eyes down. I was like, man, don't look up. And then I was like, that's kind of cool, but I'm going to keep watching the band.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Alex asked me that during the Kiss concert. He said, what is, because they kept showing old footage every now and then,
Sure.
The old black and white. I mean, so there was some black and white stuff,
Sure.
Obviously, but even stuff where there's not a big video screen on the stage, and they were showing some live footage and stuff like that. And he goes, do you like it better now that you can with the video screens, or do you like it before? And I said, well, I like it both ways. Because before you really paid attention to the band, you had to watch everything was going on. There's all this stuff happening. Now you really get to your point, I agree. You get focused on the screen and not so much on what else is going on, and it's a little distracting.
It is.
I will say that if you are all the way up at the back of the venue, up against the wall, the screen's the only option. Because all you see is these little tic tacs running across the screen.
Right.
I like artists that utilize the screens in such a way where it calls attention to the screen and the artist at the same time. Right. I saw Paul McCartney a few years back, and he was really good about utilizing his screens in such a way where there was a song where he was like on top of what, like, it made the screen look like it was a waterfall, and McCartney was standing on top of the waterfall. Cool. And the last Smashing Pumpkins tour,
I saw that.
Really, yeah, and that was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my entire life. They really incorporated the screens well, where it didn't distract. Like, it was the screens and the band working in unison. And I think God of Thunder from this last tour is where the screens really worked in unison with what the band was doing.
Right.
And I really wish that this End of the Road tour had more stuff like that. Where if every song was a God of Thunder level production, this would be the greatest tour of all time. But not every song is God of Thunder level production on this tour. And so it's frustrating to see, because I think that, like, that's the right way to do it. And I think there's a cleverness to Kiss showing some of the old footage while they're playing, because it makes you encompass the entire history that is Kiss in the show and just overwhelming you with all your memories and all your emotions. I think it's very clever. But when it's just like, oh, the band's playing, there's like a close-up of Gene's face, it's not as exciting as, some of the other stuff I mentioned.
It'd be like, hey, look, Gene's licking his his neck of his bass for the 1,000th time tonight.
Well, it's worse than that. Gene's slobbering all over the place, and it's just dripping down his. It's just disgusting. I had a couple people say something to me about that. It was just. Looks gross.
But Greg, I did see that Smashing Pumpkins. I'm not a real big Smashing Pumpkins fan, but that stage show was fucking incredible. The way they moved those screens. I mean, they had a full a group of people down there, a whole crew moving these screens around. I mean, it was kind of that whole stage was fluid, and that's what was really cool about it. I mean, it wasn't like you had just have this great big screen behind you. You watched it. Mm-hmm. They had these multiple screens, and as they were doing it, they would turn and they would move, and people were moving shit around, and it was like, going, this is fucking sort of pretty good, damn big production is what it was. And they were high.
I would say it was the same way that people say, like, if you see a Kiss show, even if you're not into the band, you will say that's a damn good show. I would say that same thing applies with that Smashing Pumpkins tour, at least the latest one. Like, that is just, whether or not you're a fan, you just have to walk away impressed. Like, that was a damn good show.
And that's the way I was. My wife loves their music more than I do, but I walked away that night going, that was a really good show. I was very entertained, and that, they served its purpose. So anyway.
All right, well, we've got a guest tonight. His name is Greg Troyan.
Speaking
of videos, yes, that's a pretty goddamn good segue.
Yeah,
Greg's here to talk about a video that he and his band shot, and I'll shut up and let him talk.
Thanks. I'm shifting gears a little bit because I've been trying to interject with witty commentary. Now it's up to me to say stuff and then wait for you guys to interject with witty commentary. Oh man, the pressure is on. So
you gotta carry this shit now.
Yeah, I gotta carry this now.
All right, I'm gonna mute
my band, so it's fine. Oh, zing. So we just released a new music video for our band. It's a Eric Carr cover, so Kiss fans, check it out. It's Eyes of Love. And we used to be a very theatrical glam band called Lipstick, and now we're still a glam band, but we wear black instead. So it's the different coat of paint, a little bit heavier, a little bit edgier, but still fun sing-along rock. And we decided Eyes of Love would be a good first single to put out there to the people to announce our new sound, our new image. Like we had all these songs written. We were trying to figure out what's the best definition of the new sound. And we were arguing, should we do one of my songs or one of Steve's songs, and going back and forth. And so we're like, you know what? Let's do a song that neither one of us wrote, get the egos out of it, and just make our goal to have the best production possible. So perform it the best we can, make the drum sound as good as we can, the guitar sound as good as we can, really focus on the arrangement, and focus on just making the best version of the song we could possibly do. And that's the video, and we seem to be pretty happy with it. It's gotten good response.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it? I've seen it a couple times actually.
Yeah.
It was nice to see somebody cover a Kiss song. Well, not a Kiss song, but I mean a Kiss member at least. That was Eric Carr. That's really cool. That's a really cool thing. And I like that record. That's a good record, actually. That if you don't have that record, so it's on what Rockology, right?
It's Rockology.
Yeah, Rockology.
Yeah.
There's some.
So
great
that's a
songs
good
on there.
record. Yeah,
I had
cool.
never heard the song.
So
really?
what inspired you guys to pick that song?
Well, we wanted to do the thing, like, figuring out where our niche in the market is there are a lot of modern hair metal bands, but a lot of them are in Sweden, and a lot of them have this like really like they have a distinct European punk edge to them. And so we realized that there wasn't a band that was necessarily filling the niche of like American hair metal, which just like it has a different swagger to it. It's it's a lot more about fun and a lot less about anger. And there's so many of those great Sunset Strip bands that fit that kind of sound. On the less edgy side and on the more fun party side of the spectrum. So, not quite Danger, maybe a little bit heavier than that, but like Firehouse and those bands, like they have that American swagger to it. And we had a song that was kind of similar to Eyes of Love, where it was just like, a big, fun, cherry pie kind of rock song. And we said, you know what? We can release this song, and it's a very good song. But I think Kiss fans will, want to hear an Eric Carr cover. Not a lot of people cover Eric Carr. I think it's great to like keep his memory in the masses and not just forget about him. And I think it's also nice to do a cover of Eric Carr without like making it too mournful. Like oftentimes when people talk about Eric Carr, they're always like sad about it, and they always make it like a big deal. But if you covered an Elvis song, like you don't like cry every time you talk about Elvis. You just do an Elvis song and you honor the music and you have fun with it. And we thought that's what Eric would want if you just had fun with the song. If you didn't make it like this big, like ghastly tribute, but you just did it and had fun with it and, lived up to his legacy, but still made it your own. I think that's what he would have wanted. And so it's a way of, doing a song I've loved for years, re-announcing our presence to the world, and just having fun and making it a cool video.
How many other songs have you recorded?
For the in general, or for like new projects?
For the upcoming projects.
So for the upcoming projects, so we have like 60 to 100 demos done. We were going to do a big concept album, and then the budget fell through for it, and so that's why we did Eyes of Love first. We're like, all right, let's just put a single out there and see how it does. And so we're just taking it one step at a time, where we're really pushing the single, trying to get that out there, spread the, let people know that like this is what we're going to be doing moving forward, and listening to fan feedback, because the first album sold really well. The second album didn't sell as well. And so we're trying to make sure that we're like on the right track with our fans. We're like, hey guys, remember how you loved us on that first album? Is this like the right direction for us? Do you guys like, we want to get a feel for it before we really like commit to going too far in one direction, where we're like 98% certain, but we still want to make sure that like, hey guys, you like this, right? This is the right direction. We didn't mess this one up. So just double checking that.
So do you have the same band members for the prior two records and then your project you're working on?
Not really. So I am the master of having a million friends, and the master of having a million friends who move on to bigger and better projects that pay them more money. The first album was mainly myself and a guy named Billy Morris, who played in Warrant and Quiet Riot previously, to playing with me. And then the second album had Phil Schaus on it from the Gene Simmons band and the Ace Frehley band. He was on there.
Never heard of that
Tom
guy.
Pappas, Super Drag. Yeah, you might have heard of him once or twice.
Yeah.
He's pretty,
Love that
pretty
guy.
good.
Love
Pretty
him.
good. And like I have, especially living in Nashville, this is the city of hired guns. So everyone's in 10 bands, everyone's busy. And I have so many great friends who are like, hey man, yeah, I can record for you on these days, but then I got to leave because I'm on tour. And it's hard for me to find like consistent guys. But I do, Steve is my one true love musically, always there for me, always got my back. So he is my musical partner. I think I work best with a partner, like a buddy system, where I jokingly say I'm like Jim Steinman with I look like Jim Steinman, and Jim Steinman works best with a Meatloaf or a Bonnie Tyler.
Right.
And on the first album, Billy Morris was my partner. Like we recorded that entire album together. Like we went on ridiculous adventures while recording the album, all kinds of wacky stuff we did together. And so like we were very much partners on that album, even though they were all my songs. Like we did that together. And then since moving to Nashville, Steve has been that partner. And so we always find people to make it happen. And we've got a live lineup right now that we're happy with, and we're looking to transition that lineup into the studio. But we're trying to take it one step at a time. In the past, we've had really grand vision for things, and then just things didn't go through. So we're just trying to take it one step at a time, which is put out the best video we can, tell as many people about as we can, and then after that, we've got a couple songs that we're like ready to hop in and record, but we're focusing on promoting this right now.
That's cool.
Fair
I like
enough.
the video. Like I said, the video is. I was watching it, and it's got that early '80s MTV look to it. You got the dancing girl in there. I love that shit. I was like, in the backdrop, it reminded me of the first thing I've thought about, but they're not wearing leather and stuff. But the "Goodbye to You" video from
Scandal.
Scandal. I
Scandal.
love that video.
And that for some reason, that while watching that, it just kind of reminded me of that Scandal video. I don't know why. I mean, there's nothing really. I guess it's just the way it's set up. I don't know, but I thought it was cool. I watched it. I had a smile on my face, and I'm tapping my feet. I liked it. It was good. So
yeah,
that's cool
the
doing.
model in the video, Kayla, she kind of looks like Patty Smythe. So maybe that's just like
Maybe
where
a
it's
little bit.
implanted in the brain.
Exactly.
Well, once you
But
get your album recorded, you should call it Hired Guns. I'm kidding.
Man,
it's probably already been taken like 18,000
yeah, it's been taken
times.
so many times. Yeah, the thing, it's both a blessing and a curse, the hired gun thing, because I think one of the joys of life is all the friends you make on that journey and people you connect with. One of the great joys of me starting my podcast was becoming friends with all of you guys and having you on the show and getting to know you guys better and interacting with you guys on Facebook and hanging out with you at Rockin' Pod. And so while there's a part of me that, gets a little bit frustrated with all the people we've had come and go, the fact that I can call up any of those guys who have played with us. We've had a lot of guys play with us, but I can call up any of them and be like, hey man, do you want to hang out? Do you want to jam? And they'd say yes, if they're in town, of course.
Sure.
And I've just made so many great friends, met most of my musical heroes, and worked with so many great people where I look at it and say, yeah, Phil Schaus was only on a couple songs on the last CD, but I'm so glad he was on those songs because it was so fun to record with him, and he's such a great guy. And so if the option is me having my stable guy, but then not having that memory of recording with my buddy, I wouldn't take that, because the memories of me recording with my friends is so worth it. And so the cast of thousands we had on the first two albums, it's people that some of them were guys I grew up with, played with in high school bands, on one of the songs on the first album. And then, some of them are, my musical mentors who, brought me through my teenage years. And some of them are just like, my best friends who I've made, gigging in Nashville all the time. So I wouldn't trade those experiences for the world. We've got a great guitarist right now. He's actually probably the best guitarist we've ever had. Don't tell Phil that. This guy
I'm calling him right now. Okay, no.
But no, this guy is basically like Steve Vai, and just like insane. And we're just like, how has no one picked you up? And so he is just a monster. And we're working with him, and he's like at practice. Like I said, we had like 60 to 100 songs. He's ripping out these riffs and just like, oh man, what is that? Like, oh, I just made it up right now. And so we're like, oh crap. So like we're having this creative energy, and I think putting the video out first and letting it breathe is good, because we're like starting to write stuff in this vein, and like it's all coming together. And I feel really excited about the creative process moving forward.
That's cool.
Well, tell our audience where they can find you on the interwebs.
You can find me at lipstickgeneration.com. You can tweet me nasty messages on Twitter at Greg Troyan. I host a weekly podcast called The Lipstick Panel that all three of your lovely hosts have been on. And I've got to bring them on for more episodes. It's like I realized, like, man, Alan hasn't been on for a while. I haven't had, I know I had Dennis did the Bad for Good thing, and participated in that. But I'm like, man, I got to bring these guys back on. And got busy with just the million projects I'm in. As guys who follow me on Facebook know, I don't know when I sleep. But I'm glad that I had the chance to hang out with my buddies. Hang out and hear all the vulgar jokes, live in person, as opposed to just on my YouTube feed.
Cool. All right. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on the show. When this episode comes out, I will link your YouTube video on the show, the webpage for the show itself. And I'll also drop it on our Facebook page. So anybody that hasn't seen it yet will get their opportunity to find it pretty easily.
We shared on the Twitter too. Yeah.
I don't do Twitter.
You don't do anything, Dennis.
Twitter, but I have
barely check your damn email.
I check my email. I'm just not a Twitter guy. I like Randy Quaid on Twitter. I like watching crazy people.
Well, on that note, let's go ahead and close out of here before Dennis says something dumb like he did last week. All right, folks. Visit us on 80sofrock.com. You can find us, our social medias there, and us, our Stitcher Radio link and all that stuff. Peace out until next week. Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.